So, guys, Cris Carter decided to disrespect Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders and make an excuse for the NFL owners. Now, on this video, it might be 8 to 20 minutes long. There's going to be two halves of this video. I'm going to start off with the first half by breaking down the interview with all the clips and all his points with actual proof and show you that Cris Carter always had a vendetta against Deion and other melanated brothers. Y'all smash the like button, hit the notification bells. I'm not going to even play my intros. Let's start with the video now.
All right. So what happened with Shedeur Sanders?
Well, a number of things happened. The number one thing that didn't happen was there was not a collusion message with the NFL owners.
All right.
So first of all, Cris Carter was the same one who agreed that what happened to Colin Kaepernick was collusion. So now he starts the interview by saying the NFL owners didn't collude when it fits his benefits and narrative. But yet everyone knows that when the NFL has to get things right, billionaires will get together, have meetings, and do whatever X, Y, and Z they need to do. This is how companies and corporations are run, but he wants you to believe none of these guys talk to each other. None of these guys do anything when it comes to the Sanders family. Now, all of a sudden, the owners don't conclude, don't collude. They don't join together to protect whatever their business is for whatever ulterior motives they have. Let's go to question number 2.
What he didn't realize is the guys that have fallen in the draft before, they all had unusual traits. Like they had some superstar qualities to them. Now, some other things happened that made them fall, but
So he lied right there. First of all, through that one, he quickly went through it and said all these other guys that fell, they had some traits. So you say they fall down, but they got drafted because they had some type of skills about them. But Lamar Jackson was a Heisman winner. Lamar Jackson, what did he do to fall? Because you said, well, they did some things to fall. You never explained. Can you tell us why Deshaun Watson fell? This is prior to the masseuse situation. And Pat Mahomes, well, you guys, Todd McShay said Pat Mahomes was a 3rd-round pick. But Cris, could you tell us how Lamar and many other melanated quarterbacks like Justin Fields fell in the draft? What did they do? More excuse making. Let's go to question number 3.
But Shedeur and his family, they overplayed their hand. Them thinking that he was in the same evaluation mode as Eli Manning, they didn't play that right. But Shedeur and his family.
So you now use Eli Manning as an example and his family, which is a bad example because Deion Sanders didn't do anything different than Eli, Peyton, and Archie Manning. And we will be seeing Arch Manning, and I will be rooting for Arch Manning. Unlike you, people who hate Shedeur, I like good football players of all ethnicities. But you said they tried to do like the Mannings and fell. But wouldn't that be you admitting that if we're melanated, we can't do the things that your Mayo counterparts get away with? And you had no embarrassment saying this on a national syndicated platform as yours.
Play that right. Them trying to narrow the teams that he was going to go to, that didn't do right. Not working out the combine, that wasn't the right thing. His interview process, obviously he could have done a lot better in that. A lot of people left that meeting, felt he was very, very entitled. Play that right.
Well, Cris, I got news for you. Many of these NFL coaches said that was a flat out lie. Shedeur conducted himself professionally in the interviews. Number one, if they don't put a name on it, we don't want to hear all these speculations. I can say you're a sherm head and a dope head. Oops. We're going to get that to the second half of the video. You are a sherm head. Second of all, how did he misconduct himself? How did he misrepresent himself when he didn't try to control the narratives of what teams could get him? Deion already spoke up about that. He was just talking, and he clarified it so many times. He doesn't have an issue on the team Shedeur goes to. He said it was hope. He hopes his son goes to a great team that can take care of him, you know, like every other NFL teams. And here's what will make you a hypocrite. The same Mannings you just brought up, well, guess what they did? They actually stopped San Diego from drafting Eli. Well, after they drafted Eli, they got mad in front of all the cameras and everybody and forced him to go to the Giants while Rivers went to the Chargers. Why didn't you bring that up? you're mixing matching again, because you have to think to yourself, why would Cris Carter do that and twist up the word? It shows that you have a motive against Deion, and we're going to get to that, but you're also being not fair and you're being biased. So you're looking at the brother, man, who's melanated like you. You're throwing off rumors and speculations that was never proven, which everybody denied, including people who don't even like Deion said they never heard of that. This was ESPN with their false narratives, and I told you guys about that failed network, ESPN. So once again, you're glazing the Manning family to denigrate and condemn people who look like you. Let's go to the other question.
I know that.
So it's not the tape, and he likes guys to be a little more open before he lets it go, and he doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a big guy. He's not overly athletic. So his measurables are not, say, first-round measurables, but he played football like a first-rounder.
But his tape's first-round tape. But his measurables are not. I know that.
So it's not the tape. And
So I like your co-host on the Fully Loaded podcast because he seems reasonable. So you say it's not the tape, but then you say it's his measurables. He doesn't have any arms. Then you look at all the other Mayo quarterbacks who are always drafted high. I'm going to just say one, Zach Wilson. What measurables did he have? What arm did Zach Wilson really have? Because last time I checked, Shedeur throws deep passes accurately. You know, the guys that you drafted top 10, top 5, who never was available to actually get the ball off to proper receivers who are star receivers. And all the receivers complain about the Zach Wilsons of the world, the Sam Darnolds, all these other guys, the Mitch Trubisky's. What the number one complaint these guys talked about was their measurables. But Cris Carter want to throw out false narratives about Shedeur that was not even proven. You sound like you have excuses when it comes to brothers who look like you.
Human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room, how he already came up with this line of merchandise, legendary, like he's already calling himself legendary. All those things are problems. Human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room.
It sounds like you're just making up things as you go. Almost all NFL top picks have always had their own merchandise. From the Zach Wilsons of the world, from a lot of these guys. Don't let me get started and start breaking it down, but I want to stick to this interview. You seem to be creating fallacies and reasons that has nothing to do and becoming an NFL quarterback. I got this chain on. Does that make me a bad guy now? You're projecting. You're not making valid reasons. You're doing the same thing that other people who don't like melanated people do when you're trying to deter them away. But we're going to get to a lot of these things in the second half. Let's keep going with this failed interview and this hit piece you tried to do on Shedeur and the Sanders family.
They want to get rid of him in the week. They can get rid of him.
He does. Don't we think Shedeur is smart enough to know he's not at Jackson State and he's not at Colorado?
No.
You don't think so?
I listened to too many of his answers. I saw too many of the outtakes. I saw too many times he was working out with other players, and he said things that I thought were highly questionable for my franchise quarterback.
So like what?
When he was working out with Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward, the number one pick.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to cut a rap video together? No, I want to be known as a football player.
And he's like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I play football.
Why wouldn't you sit down?
I'm going to show you what's disturbing about that question right there. First of all, you didn't go in depth until what he actually to say to make you not like him. Then you basically alluded to Shedeur not being smart. Why would he compare and contrast and get confused between HBCU, JSU versus actual Power 5, Power 6, such as Colorado? That's you again projecting stereotypes, and that's proof in the pudding. Then you said, when you had a chance to expound upon what you said it's because of video you seen with him and Cam Ward worked out, and he talked about a video, a rap video, and this is why we need Cam Ward to defend Shedeur. But Cam Ward got the biggest pieces of chicken on the plantation. He's not going to defend anybody. He don't want to jeopardize his sponsors. But let's go further. Those videos of Cam Ward and Shedeur being on video, they're not really for NFL teams. Those were actual workouts, two brothers just doing banter amongst each other. Why didn't you bring up some of the questionable things that Cam Ward said on those videos? I can do it, but I love my brother Cam. I'm not about to embarrass him like that. So you took hit pieces to turn them into a problematical problem that never existed. And another thing that makes it bad about that, I seen a reporter who did the same thing to all Colorado football players and act like they had a criminal activity problem when it came to weapons, because the guys used a catchphrase that that rapper 50 Cent used. Get the strap. So it was 7 players who were saying, get the strap. Number one, when they say get the strap, it's alluding to 50 Cent. And in football terms, I'm more skilled than you. But that reporter did the same thing you did, Cris, the Shermhead Carter. He said they have a weapon problem, and all the people ran with it until I was one of the people who broke it out and embarrassed all the ESPN pundits, the Fox Sports, including those Colorado, Denver journalists, so-called journalists. See, that's baffling. That's allowed to be thrown out there with no pushback. But I'm always going to be the man who push back on the cowards that exist. Let's get to the next one.
This whole thing with Deion and the media and everything, like it's out of control. Like, it did not help him. It helped him make money in college because he got followers, but it actually hurt him as far as him getting a job as an NFL quarterback.
You mean as Shedeur, his social media stuff with Shedeur?
Yes.
It hurt him.
Yeah, what else hurt him?
You are a coward, Cris Carter. You're continuously throwing shots at Deion while talking about Shedeur. First of all, Deion has never done nothing to the reporters besides when he was a young man and he threw the water. But as a coach, he's been more than professional. Is he not allowed to respond to people who keep making fake reports on him, hitting him and hitting him and hitting him? So when he finally responds, which he responds in a professional way, he's at fault. You never went in depth about that because you would have got exposed. Why not tell us what he said to the media and what was said about him? You know, the false reports, like Paul Feinbaum tried to coincide with the Colorado reporter who flat out lied about all the reports he put out there because Deion then told the guy, we don't want you. Deion didn't kick anybody else in the media out. He kicked one man who had salacious, disrespectful news that's unbecoming of a journalist, but you didn't go deep into that. You made it look like Deion was the problem and didn't call the other. You are the actual professional victim portraying as a stand-up individual, Cris.
I know
Let me tell you what he understands today.
Okay.
He ain't running shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, they taught him a great lesson.
Okay.
Like, you don't have this figured out. Your dad don't have this figured out.
Who's they? NFL,
Shedeur?
the world. No, who taught you? Said they taught him. I'm just curious. Like,
Well, the system.
the system. Okay.
So right there, you agree there's a system in play. So instead of calling a system that's biased, you blame Deion and Shedeur. And the way you came off with that question, you said you don't run anything. He learned. They made him learn. Like, you're enjoying it. You agree with that people should utilize their power to unfairly treat people because you're a stepping fetching. Nothing you said right there proved that they were the problem. You actually helped my videos out by explaining cowards like you would tap dance to protect the narratives. But we're going to get to part 2 very soon. Don't worry about it, y'all.
Like, you're going for a job interview. So for his job interview, he was so concerned about, what his outfit was. His necklace was over $100,000. Like, he hadn't even convinced people that you're the face of our franchise. Matter of fact, he had convinced people that they were better off going in a different direction, even with people.
Dude, how did he convince people to hate him by him just being a young man? So once again, you keep bringing up the change. It sounds similar to the stereotypical court jesters of the world and the people who don't like us. You seem to take the same talking points. So you didn't have no valid reasons as to why they didn't draft Shedeur. So you bring these things up. Once again, that's not validated at all. He never tried to control and run the NFL. So why would you say you don't run anything? Then right there, you go into more about his chain than actual serious problems that could have been reasons why he didn't get drafted. Because you're trying to audition for something. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to part 2 because we're going to break this coward Cris the Shermhead down. Let's go. So part 2 with Cris Carter is Randy Moss called you a quitter first, and we're going to get to that. Well, you called Randy Moss a quitter, and you were known as that, but it all started with you getting fired on Fox Sport. These outlandish takes you started doing towards melanated brothers.
It happened. But apparently he had a dispute with upper management. I guess they just said enough was enough, and he was shown a door. So, guys, what do you think of this, black and white sports fans? Cris Carter no longer employed by FS1.
You were fired for continuous problems on FSN Sports, SFN, whatever, Fox Sports 1. You wanted people to defend you for the same things you're going against Shedeur Sanders for, but they ridiculed and made you go through a humiliation process in front of the world. Now, when you got fired, you guys can pause and read the reports. They embarrassed Cris Carter so bad, he was escorted off the premises with security in front of all his peers. There was continuous problems with you over there trying to fight individuals. You seem to have a drinking problem that you never fixed since your days at Ohio State. Oh, we're going to get into more of that. Then you actually tried to break down your situations they called it ejected. No, sir, you got fired. You're the same guy who went away from your own rules. Never forget, Cris Carter was the one talking to you. Look, I agreed with this, what I'm about to show, but everything you said about Shedeur, you was none of this. You did the complete opposite. You're on video telling NFL prospects the opposite of what you're telling Shedeur. You're telling them to get a fall guy.
Just in case y'all not going to decide
this
to do
is
the
you,
right
sir.
thing.
You're telling everybody to get a fall guy. Do you remember this?
You got to have a fall guy in the crew. Just in case y'all not going to
decide
to do the right thing, if y'all got a crew, you got to have a fall guy in the crew.
You know why Warren Sapp laughed at you? Because he know you don't say these things on a national media pundit, but once again, all of a sudden, you're this wise elder who has the best philosophies, but yet you never followed none of your own words. This is you right here trying to play it off after being fired. Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. Proverbs 12:25. You remind me of degenerate Colorado player Cash Cleveland. Fake Christians like you try to throw out God's word after you go and do the complete opposite of God's word. Did you give kind words to the Sanders family, Deion and Shedeur, during that synopsis in your failed interview you just did? No, but you want kind words towards you when you get ridiculed and you get dragged out the mud. You're a hypocrite, sir. Now, Skip Bayless embarrassed you on national media. You didn't have this same visceral. You are a coward. You did it behind the scene. But let's look at a snippet of when Skip Bayless emasculated you in front of the entire world on a national platform.
So you don't put too much yeast on that.
Inspire the whole football team.
No, you can't. No, you're wrong on that. He's not inspiring the whole football team.
No, you're wrong on that. You're wrong. You're dead wrong on that one.
Well, I've been on the NFL field before. You never have.
I don't care.
That's not a start. There's plenty of other players besides the starter. Okay, that's 6 weeks ago. You need to move on till today.
No, you need to move on. What does he do every fourth quarter?
You're right. And I give you credit for that.
Okay. You can't take away his credit.
He took your essence of what make a man away from you. And what you did, you told everybody that you admitted that you once threatened to punch Skip Bayless in the face. We don't know about it because this is what you did after a fact, because you have to play a puppet character. You can never show your bravado as a man. Now, salute to you for being professional, but you weren't really professional. A lot of people said you were the most useless character when you was on ESPN. This is why you ventured off this Fox, but we're not done yet. You were scared of Skip Bayless. You can't exude what a man is, so you do everything behind people's back like a true coward. You don't do it in their face. Even Skip admitted this. He was like baffled that you said this. You never went and tried to really punch him. You said this after the fact when you were far away from Skip Bayless. I know you're not afraid of Skip Bayless, but you're afraid of his complexion. This is actually fact. You're afraid of them folks, so you tap dance and you get scared when guys like Shedeur is not afraid. You gonna get us in trouble, Shedeur and Deion.
On the Tebow phenomenon, I'm going to be honest with you. Skip Bayless is not one of my favorite people. I'm on there doing the show. I do the show and everything. And then all of a sudden, this is when the Tebow phenomenon was going on. If throwing the football is important in the NFL, Tim Tebow will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So he got defensive, and then he came back and said, well, that's why you didn't win a Super Bowl, which got nothing to do with nothing. Agreed. We went to commercial break. I took my earpiece out, and I told him, I'll never be on your show again. And if you ever say anything like that to me again, I'll punch you right in the face.
That wasn't even said at all. And a lot of people contested to that. You do a real good job in talking behind people's back. Ryan Day and the Ohio State faculty didn't acknowledge Cris Carter the way you wanted to be acknowledged. So you had this combative mode against your alma mater for years now. So you wanted Ryan Day to be fired, and he did nothing wrong to you. Ryan Day, you wanted us to believe he was overrated all that way. He just won a national championship, sir.
How, as an alumni member, all right, a guy that started Ohio State, how are you feeling about Ryan Day as the head coach of your Buckeyes right now?
Well, I don't feel great because the number one thing to do at Ohio State is to beat Michigan.
So if you look at losing 4 in a row, now I think we had ran off 9 in a row before we lost this 4 in a row.
Right.
But man, we can't even remember that, because this 4 in a row, it's historic. You know, this is historically one of the most talented teams, but it's historically the seniors are leaving without having any gold pants of beating Michigan.
How as
You wanted Ryan Day to get fired, and then you wonder why nobody in Ohio State really supports you. Shout out to my dog, Jeremiah Smith, who destroyed your record, and he's going to get rid of you for once and for all. You will no longer be in the record book, so let's not be done. You go out your way to embarrass brothers on TVs when you were in the good points with your counterparts of the Mayo community. This is you flaming Jameis Winston, and just you were one of the main people when you were on TV that you kept ridiculing Jameis after beats that you don't do to the white counterparts.
I missed on Jameis. I thought Jameis would be a lot better, especially after seeing him in his first 2 years in the NFL. I thought he'd be a lot better by now. So I missed on Jameis as a quarterback. I thought he'd have better anticipation. I thought he would read defenses better because he's a smart guy from a football X's and O's standpoint for those who quiz kids on things like that. So I was really, really wrong on what I thought Jameis was going to be in pro football.
You have a history of doing this. Now, the second guy you called out was Mike Tomlin. You called him overrated, basically. And I find that offensive. Like, I don't like Mike Tomlin, but I don't like Mike Tomlin at all. But I've always defended him when it comes to him being a coach. Now, forget about how I feel about his character and how he sells people out, such as us. But he's a great NFL coach, a phenomenal one, a great leader of men. You and Terry Bradshaw have always been calling out Mike Tomlin, but especially you more than Terry specifically. And it's like you always had a vendetta against melanated people, especially Mike Tomlin.
In the modern salary cap era, the Pittsburgh Steelers system does not work, bro. Your philosophy is obsolete. Oh, I'm going to only sign a couple of the players that I draft to their second or third contract. See, Mike Tomlin's been battling that. No one even talks about that ever, the economics of it. In the modern,
Mike Tomlin's been battling that. What, you know why I know you attack people like us? You've been a minstrel on TV for far too long. You tried to be the court jester. You tried to be the intellectual. Who are you, sir? You were the drug head. You were a lot of things. Like, when can you actually be the real Cris Carter? I'm never going to forget when you went on air in front of the whole entire Mayo community and you did this right here.
Come on, man. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. You're making money. Come on. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
It's giving Shannon Sharp Shay vibes. You know, get a brother, put him on a syndicated platform to help the ratings, have him say outlandish, stereotypical things so other groups in the community could laugh at us. That's you, Cris Carter, but yet you're talking about the character of Shedeur. We're going to talk about your son, Duran, who's around my age. Yeah, we're going to get to that part, but let's go more on this part right here.
Stuff like that. Like, we're in the street, he don't say nothing like that. Obviously. Yeah. So a lot of people get on TV or get behind a mic or get behind a camera and they got what you call studio courage.
That's you, sir. You get behind this mic, you get behind this camera, and you say all these freaking things about people that you never say in their face. And we supposed to believe you're a great man. You know who's a great man? Deion Sanders. I remember when Deion Sanders had his little things with Troy Aikman, but he always stuck the code with his brothers like Troy Aikman. When Skip Bayless tried to call Troy Aikman, you feel me, certain derogatory comments, Deion didn't go behind Skip Bayless' back. He stood in front of Skip Bayless and defended his brother, Troy Aikman.
The camp was that, you know, the old rumor, it's 5 years old here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm sure a lot of people had heard it before, that Troy is gay. Now, I've talked to Troy about it.
I have never heard that. This is a man. I'm not gay, but Troy is a good-looking guy.
He is a good-looking guy. I agree.
And
now, I talked to Troy.
I'm sure he can get any woman he wants.
He says he is absolutely not gay.
Do you know what
yes, I know exactly what it is.
will do to a guy like Troy Aikman, whose endorsement potential is unbelievable?
Took the opportunity to put it.
You wish you could be Deion Sanders. You wish you could be a man like that. In fact, I wanted to play a video why you were going at Deion like that, but I got it soon. Oh, Deion called you out before, and you got mad when Deion told the world that Cris Carter never could beat me. He couldn't get through me or anything, but once they got Randy Moss, Cris Carter finally had like 2 catches on me. He embarrassed you, and you never forgot that and let it go. You had a vendetta like most weak dudes do. You harbor your feelings, and instead of letting people know how you feel about it, you become one of these crash outs when you get some type of power or your own platform to denigrate these people. But I know why you do that. You were a cokehead, sir. Let's never forget that. This is what you said. My bottom was getting cut, and I was so upset because even though they cut me, I wasn't using at the time, Carter said in 2014. They cut me because they couldn't trust me at the time. I had only flunked 2 tests. The next one, I would have been suspended for a year. I was clean for over 6 months. Sir, shut up. This is when you played for the Philadelphia Eagles before you went to the Vikings. I would have cut you too. They gave you a chance in the league when a lot of people was on that coke, including LT. But guess what LT knew to do? He knew when not to get in trouble during these testings. You got caught 2 times in a row, so they knew the 3rd time you would have get caught again. They don't care about 6 months being clean. But yet, this is the cokehead who's trying to talk about character issues with Shedeur Sanders, and you people allowed this cokehead to do this.
Even if you're okay, we play at noon, we play at 1. I'm gonna get up, do the pregame meal, and then smoke me like a half a J. By the time you get dressed, by the time you go to the stadium, by the time you see the fans, by the time you see your teammate, man, that's gone.
That is definitely gone if you're smoking weed.
Yeah, that's all.
You when you was on cocaine for a game?
Now you're back in the 80s and 90s.
Well, I'm old. I'm 52 years old.
Okay,
I'm 52 years old.
We were at the end of my career, and now you're back to the
Let's
beginning.
go to the beginning.
Not before the game.
Not before the game.
No,
Okay.
not before the game. When I was in Philadelphia, never did any cocaine before the game.
Okay.
After the game,
Yes.
guilty
Yeah.
as
You're so proud of your coke use that you keep bringing it up over and over like this is good stripes on you. No, that's a negative connotation on you, sir. Then this is you. I want y'all to pause it and read it. I'm not going to read it. Over the years, you've been get exposed on this before you even talked about it. So you had no other choice but to talk about all these coke issues. Your character is flawed at best, sir. In the professional world, in the football world, and as a father. Yeah, that's right. I'm judging you as a father, and we'll get to that. But you defended Deshaun Jackson, right? Congrats, bro, playing this and the second biggest mistake Eagles did, made in their history by cutting their best wide receiver. You're saying the second in history because they cut you once before too. I wonder why you would defend Deshaun Jackson's gang character issues, because he got cut for off the field issues and what he said. But yeah, you made excuses for him, but not the Sanders family. And we know why, but let's keep going, man. This is you and Randy Moss situations that started. You went out your way in your broadcasting history, even your playing days when you went to the Dolphins. You always hated Randy Moss. You hated when they drafted Randy Moss. In fact, this is you right here talking about nonsense about Randy Moss on the Mike and Mike show. You said the one thing you have to address with Randy Moss is not a conditioning thing. It's not an age thing. I believe it's the elephant in the room. It's that thing called quit. Y'all could read the rest. I'm not about to read that. Sir, I'm going to show how you are a hypocrite. But before we do, look at this, bro. Y'all can read this yourself. I put this in here for y'all to pause and read. You went in depth on Randy Moss with things that weren't true, basically called him a quitter. And Randy Moss said this to you. Moss, who is currently retired but open to making a comeback, tweeted this in response. He later tried to clean it up by tweeting, CC, no matter what, I still love you, bruh. However, the damage has already been done. Cris Carter just been left out of the Hall of Fame for the 5th straight year. That was during the time when they were not letting you in. You were crying on TV, bruh. You called Moss a quitter, but I know why you saying this. Moss made you quit, sir. Randy Moss made you quit before he played any downs of football. He made you quit when the team drafted Randy Moss. You went behind his back to try to get rid of him. You were not loving that they selected Moss with the 21st pick. You were enraged. You started getting involved in contract speculations. You're good at going behind people's back, like father, like son. We'll get to that, but this is who you are, sir. No matter how much people don't like me, I've shown nothing but facts on this video, nothing but receipts, because I'm the receipt kings in this piece. You feel me? Now let's keep going. You cried to about Moss on other teams when Randy Moss was trying to get signed to other teams during his dysfunctional days of leaving the Vikings or whatever. And I remember I was in the military, you were doing this. You were telling other teams and people on national syndicated platforms not to sign Randy Moss. You were basically sabotaging him the same way you're doing Shedeur, sir. Let's keep going. Let's talk about your son and finish out this video in the right way. I saved the best for last. Now, your son, Deron Carter, I actually liked him. I met him several times because the high school he went to was St. Thomas Anschutz when you were playing for Miami Dolphins. That's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The high school is right behind my house, one of the greatest high schools of all time. So why are you going at Deion Sanders' son? Your son failed in his aspiration to be in the NFL.
There, Carter, and down goes Rick Campbell. I think I've ever seen that. And then Deron Carter takes a few more shots from the Ottawa Redblacks. As you
remember that? That's your son in the CFL because he flunked out of school, bruh. Everywhere he went, he was unbecoming of what Shedeur Sanders is as a man. This is your son right here, sir. It didn't take long for them to get rid of him. I remembered his freshman season at Ohio State. I thought he was going to be a star. He was on a team loaded with stars, and he still managed 13 passes for 176. But he got kicked off the team for girls' issues, for alleged drug situations. I don't know if that part is true. Unlike you, I'm not going to put fake sources on people, but I seen it in the reports. I'm not going to believe it, but hey, I'll let the people decide. And then your son failed several times when he transferred to Coffeyville, a community college. Then Nick Saban picked him up, and he didn't get to be part of the national championship team because your son continued to have character issues, not going to class, not going to school. This is more failures of your son, sir. You seem to be mad because failure after failure. One thing is for sure, Cris Carter, your son failed in everything he did. I'm going to show the best for last. And this one right here is why you really hate Deion Sanders. Well, I already played it, man. I'm done here. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, Cris Carter is a vindictive coward. Cris Carter is the step infection we always have seen. I debunked it, everything he said and everything he talked about. I'm not a salacious individual, but when you use that camera, which is the greatest weapon in the world that can either be used for good or used for bad, you have to call out the people who take that camera and microphone and use it to hurt other people. I'm not hurting Cris Carter. I'm revealing what the scripture talks about. And if you go through the scriptures, you always supposed to lift up thy voice like a trumpet against the most sickest people in our community. Cris Carter, congratulations. You played yourself.
I've been broke so many times.